Hello, I'm Peter Towers, Managing Director of ESS BIZTOOLS. Welcome to the Business Advisory Services Introductory Training Modules Overview. The ESS BIZTOOLS products have been developed to assist accountants and business advisors to introduce a range of commercial services for your small, medium enterprise clients. We think it's very important that in the first instance, prior to offering any new services, that your team participate in a training program. This training program has been developed with 11 separate steps. Our suggestion is that you have your team meet on a weekly basis for 11 weeks of about 1 to 2 hours at a time to go through the material and to ensure that your team has been adequately prepared to be able to offer a new range of services to your clients. Services which will add value to your clients and provide your team with some very interesting work. SMEs have been asked to comment on the services that they receive in survey after survey over the last 15 years. These surveys were organised by organisations like CCH, MYOB, Smith Inc., universities. And in each of the surveys, a significant majority of the participants indicated that they would like to receive additional commercial services from someone. It is against the background of those surveys that we have produced this material to assist you to ensure that your team has been appropriately prepared. The first form I want to show you is the partner evaluation. I believe it's very important that you get input from people within your team as to the sort of work they would like to do. I've counselled partnerships all over Australia that at times there's been a lack of communication between the individual partners. So we've designed this form to assist in that communication so that a partner can clearly identify what type of services, what type of work they would like to do. We also have a team member survey form. Our recommendation is that you invite your team members to complete. Now, if a team member tells you that all they want to do is taxation or superannuation or audits, traditional accounting services, that's okay. I think you'll find plenty of people who are keen to get involved in business advisory services. But it could be a good idea to find out early if some don't want to be involved in this process. The form also invites your team member to give an indication as to the type of work that they think they'd like to be involved in. And then you would be able to evaluate that. And we also have a client survey. After all, clients are going to pay the bill, but a representative group of small, medium enterprises, really on behalf of the clients of accountancy firms all over Australia, have been the people who have been responding to these surveys, who have indicated that they would like to receive some additional services. So this is a form which has been designed to assist you to get some feedback from your clients. What do they like about your firm? What don't they like about it? What other services could you provide? Our recommendation is that you have a partner who doesn't normally service this client, has a cup of coffee with the client and has a conversation with them, and then the partner completes the form rather than giving a form like this to a client. And based on these sorts of surveys, you should be able to get an idea of the sort of views that your clients have about a range of matters to do with your firm, not just the professional services that you're making available. Our next section then is getting organised for business advisory services. It's very important that there's an honest SWOT analysis prepared, and we have forms for that. We have a balanced scorecard questionnaire, which is based on a similar document that was prepared some years ago by Smith Inc. And with their permission, we have amended that document. Our recommendation is that you ask the team who are going to participate in the Business Advisory Services training program to complete this questionnaire very early in the training program, that you ask them to complete the similar questions again at the end of the training program, and then every 6 months, and that you analyse the response changes over the period, because you'd be expecting there to be a higher enthusiasm showing through after you're in the market for delivering of the products. If you're not getting that, you need to do some further evaluation to find out why not. There's also a paper that will assist you, and I'll show you this one. There's papers for virtually each of these steps. I'm not going to bring all of them up, but there's a paper there which just guides you through this particular process so that there's an understanding of what's involved. Step 3 is the team training for business advisory services. This is a special mentoring program. I believe that the role of partners in the development of business advisory services for your accounting business is that their partners should be the rainmakers, should be the ones communicating with the clients and convincing them that they should come along to a seminar, which I'll talk to you about shortly, and that they should be also acting as mentors for the team who have been trained to offer these services. So one of the key groups that we would be developing out of this process is product champions. Your firm will need to identify which of the various products that you are going to offer to your clients, and then ensure that at least one of your team has been developed as a product champion, someone who can talk the talk about how you can assist in a personal property securities register due diligence review, or helping a client to sell their business, or undertaking a strategy to reduce debtors' days outstanding. So the development of product champions is a very important process, but also so is the development of industry champions. In the first instance, my recommendation is that you make sure you know the industries that your clients come from. Who supplies 80 to 90% of your fees? Which industries? And our suggestion is that these are the industries that you should be concentrating on, making sure that at least one team member, one accountant in your organisation knows a bit more about that particular industry than what they would glean from the annual accounts and the tax returns. In fact, when I've talked to clients of small, medium enterprises as part of the consulting services that we do on some occasions to help accountancy businesses go down this path, and if you want to talk to me about that, please contact me. The feedback I've generally got from clients is that I want my accountants to know more about my business than just the profit and loss account. Pardon me. I've got a bit of frog in the throat. I want my accountants to know more about my business than just the profit and loss account. They want you to know a bit about their industry. I personally was involved in something like that many years ago when I joined a company that was one of Australia's major meat industry companies. And some years later, I was appointed to be the Chief Financial Officer and Company Secretary of that listed public company. I had to learn a lot about the meat industry. I knew nothing about it at the start. The company I was with was involved in export meatworks in 4 locations in Australia, boning rooms, cold stores, retail shops, small goods manufacture, hide stores, byproducts for the meat industry. One of the first feedlots in Australia. There was a lot of learning that I had to do. And I really suggest to you that for the main concentration of your clients, whatever industries they're in, whether it's medical, pharmaceutical, sheet metal works, building industry, hotels, tourism, that you need to make sure that you have developed at least one of your accounting team as an industry champion in each of those industries. Encourage those people to go to some meetings of the industry association. Ask the client if you can go with them. It won't take too long before other people in those industries recognize that person as being an expert in their industry. And I'm certain that you will obtain some more clients because of that type of activity. So there's some other articles there on team training. I'm just going to show you the PowerPoint slides because for every paper that's included in ESS BIZTOOLS, and there's over 580 of them, there is a set of PowerPoint slides. So these are the ones on team training. You can put your logo on those slides, but these would basically be for internal use. Obviously, if you're going to use the slides with clients, it's very nice to have your logo on them. The next area I want to go to is leadership. Leadership's very important because what we're trying to do here is to encourage younger accountants to really get involved, to buy into what goes on in their clients' businesses, to understand more about the industry, to understand how the client operates, to understand who their competitors are, to understand what the competition is for their particular business. Where's technology taking that industry? That's leadership. So there's a leadership development evaluation survey form to assist in some feedback on managers who are acting as leaders in organizations. There's also a summary on the facilitator's role. Our recommendation is that in this entire process, you appoint someone to be the facilitator of the group that's going to meet on a weekly basis. Now, that could be a partner, a senior manager, a consultant who leads the discussion, prepares some notes, issues the invitations to the next meeting, books the boardroom or whatever, generally organises it, reads the material first and makes sure people are attending with their brains in gear so that they're learning something so that they can confidently deliver the product packages to your clients. And there's an article on teamwork and facilitators guidance, which we'll just bring up so you can have a look at it. So this is an article that looks at leadership in some detail that we would be recommending that your team members read and discuss and talk about it with the facilitator so that there's an understanding of their role. Might make them very interested in undertaking some further leadership training. The SME Needs Analysis is probably the most important document in this process, I believe. It's based on a document that was prepared some years ago by Andrew Geddes from Smith Inc. and at that time FMRC. And we've modified it to pose some questions Because later on we're going to suggest that you hold a seminar for a group of clients, and as part of that seminar you tell them that you're going to contact them about a one-on-one meeting in the next couple of weeks, and that prior to that you're going to send them the SME Needs Analysis questionnaire, and you're going to ask them to look at it and complete it. So if you're going to do that, your team needs to clearly understand what's in that needs analysis, because this is basically a menu of services. Starts off looking at current business performance, and there's a number of them. And what we're trying to encourage is your client to write on this form any concerns they got with any of these issues. How's the business going? Are they happy with the profitability? Are they happy with things like stock turnover? Have they had a benchmarking report? How do they compare? Or what you will probably get in some cases is someone saying, what's benchmarking? So you could talk to them about benchmarking. Ratio analysis, key performance indicators, source and application of funds, their debtors. Are they happy with their debtors' days outstanding, or do they think there can be improvements? Unashamedly, we want you to use this as a menu and take orders from it, because the client will be writing on it, I want you to look at our debtors' days outstanding. I want you to look at some other aspect. How does that sound? I hope that you're getting enthusiastic about the sort of work that we envisage you'll be able to do, and that this document will guide you through. Might be some customers' reviews or competitors' review. Perhaps the client wants you to do some modelling, some what-if type calculations. What if the number of customers went up by 5%, the average sale went up by $1, the frequency of visitors, we're able to get that to increase by 6%, and the gross profit margin we can move by 1%. What would be the result? And what's the client got to do to make sure that happens? What about corporate governance? Is your client thinking about inviting a new person or a team member to become a director? Has that person been adequately prepared as a company director? The corporate governance survey might help. What about government grants? When I talk to small, medium enterprises, I invariably get complaints that no one's keeping them informed about government grants. And let me tell you what really upsets SMEs. It's when they find out that one of their competitors has got a government grant that no one told them about, because they believe in most cases that if a competitor got a grant, they should have been able to get the same sort of grant. And when I ask them who should have informed them, they look at me a bit slyly and say, well, our trusted advisor, our accountant, shouldn't they tell us about these things? That was the reason we developed the ESS Grants product about 5 years ago, which was enthusiastically supported in an initial testimonial by David Smith, Managing Director of Smith Inc., former President of the Institute of Chartered Accountants, who made the comment that every accountant in Australia should be using a product like ESS Grants so that you can be very proactive in identifying grants for clients. Do your clients understand how the Personal Property Securities Register operates? Because in various surveys that have been undertaken by industry groups and by the government, most SMEs don't have much idea at all. And this is very dangerous. In fact, in an article I've written this week, I've called it quicksand. Your clients could go out of business because of not registering on a government register the assets that they own. Some people believe that is a very strange summary. I find it a strange bit of legislation, but it's the legislation. The Parliament's passed it, and businesses can go broke. Over $400 million has been lost by small and large businesses in Australia since that legislation started 6 years ago. So perhaps some of those questions there will prompt your client to say, I want to have a discussion with you about this. I want you to do a review to make sure that what we're doing internally is safeguarding our assets. Research and development. Is your client undertaking research activities? Well, are they a company? Because I've come across businesses that have undertaken substantial research and development activity. I had one that spent over $250,000 and did it in a partnership. And then were not very impressed when I had the unfortunate task of telling them that they were not going to get the R&D tax rebate that they were telling me they were going to get because they were not a company. Now, I wasn't their accountant, but I think she might have got an earful from that client. So you need to be aware of what your clients are doing so that you can be giving them advice in this area. Perhaps having this question here might prompt your client to own up to you that they are doing some research and development. And they now realise that they've got to keep records and register and send information to both the Australian Taxation Office and Oz Industry. Are they doing exports? Are they keeping records so they could claim under the Export Market Development Grant? Are they getting assistance from Austrade? And so it goes on. Oh, management of costs. I was very surprised when CCH conducted a survey of over 1,200 SMEs about 3 years ago that the biggest problem that was identified by those SMEs was management of costs. I can't recall any SME ever telling me that they were worried about the management of costs, but obviously they were. How many of your clients have talked to you about having an issue with management of costs? Perhaps you should raise it with them. Risks. And we've included raising capital because raising capital is now a topical subject for small, medium enterprises. They've now got 3 direct areas as an SME that they can raise capital. Subject, of course, to having a good business story, a fire in the belly, enthusiasm, not having some sort of preconceived idea that they don't want investors in their business. If they're that way inclined, well, raising capital is obviously not on their agenda. But I think you'll find there's many of your clients who are interested in raising capital because they want to get away from having to borrow money or run up credit card debts or whatever. So talk to them about early stage innovation company capital raising, crowdsource funding capital raising, and Section 708 of the Companies Act, which has been available to them for the last 30 odd years. And by having that question, you might get some contact. What about a business plan? Has your client got a business plan? Or was it prepared 10 years ago and is hopelessly out of date? Perhaps they want you to prepare a business plan for them. And then we move into some other areas, taxation planning, and then into the future planning, which is the real issues that we're talking about within ESS BIZTOOLS. Wealth creation and then risk management, succession, and so on. We have marketing strategies in the material because even though survey after survey has indicated that SMEs are looking for a wider range of services, in those surveys they never actually said that they want those commercial services provided by accountants, but they want them provided by someone. And accountants are the logical group and business advisors. But what the real challenge for accountants is to make sure that you have communicated to your clients that your firm, which might have only done taxation work and annual accounts work for a client for the last 6 or 7 years, is able to supply them with advice on the product packages that we're going to talk to them about. You have to market. You have to communicate. You have to put information on your website. You have to send a newsletter to your client. You have to run some seminars. Information on your Facebook page. So we've got some articles on that. We also have an article on digital disruption. Deloitte wrote a very interesting report about 4 years ago. And we're posing the question, is digital disruption a disruption or an opportunity? I like to think that you will agree that it's an opportunity. The next area is the review of products. There are 22 separate product packages in ESS BIZTOOLS. So we have a debtors systems manual that you can edit. And this is just the document that links to the material that's contained in that manual. There's a whole range of material that you can produce from the template, a debtors systems manual for your individual client. These are just a sample of some of the packages. Our recommendation is that you have a seminar for a small group of clients to launch this process. 10 to 20 clients, and repeat the seminars a month to 6 weeks apart. Not too close though, because you don't want to get inundated with a stack of new work and not be able to deliver it. That can be a bit of a disaster if that happens. So we've got an organisational checklist in the system. We've produced scripts that the product champions could use to talk to your clients about the services that you're going to be able to provide to them. Now, we're not suggesting they stand up and read this. Hopefully they can memorise it, write out some prompt cards, and talk to the clients. And this is very important, because if they are going to be the product champions, they have to be able to convince the clients sitting in a seminar that they know their stuff, that they understand it, they can talk the talk, that they're not just interested in preparing the tax return. They understand something about these products and some of the industries that your clients are from. There's a handout that can also be handed out on the products that you're going to offer. There's 22 products in the ESS BIZTOOLS system. We're not suggesting, unless you're very experienced at this, that you have all them available in the first month. We suggest you phase into the process 2 or 3 at a time, adding new ones every 3 or 4 months. We're adding about 3 new product packages each year. So we'll continue to supply you some new products that you can use. It's also very important to not only market business advisory services, but then to be able to professionally sell it. So we have got a checklist which goes through a 25-step process of how you will market and then sell these services to your clients. And one of the big items that you need to do, which is summarized in the selling guide, is give a proposal to the client, a written proposal, including the quote, and then ask for the order. Too many professionals just talk to a client about it and then say, oh, we never heard anything further, so we never worried. This has to be sold, because your clients, especially your good operating clients, will be getting approached by other people, whether they're accountants or business advisors or consultants. We'll also be talking to them. The taxation market is becoming far more competitive, and it's becoming more of a commodity type product. And hopefully you don't need to hear that from me. Other accountants are going to be looking at your good clients. They're going to be running seminars and webinars and putting out newsletters. You need to sell this product to your clients and convince them that you can deliver it. And then we come to the one-on-one meeting. So let me set the scene once again. We've had the seminar. Your champions have talked about the particular products. Incidentally, that seminar, no longer than 70 minutes. Then have a cup of tea or a drink and have some social discussion with your clients. But the one-on-one meeting, you should indicate at the seminar that you're going to be contacting the client in the next couple of days and organising a special meeting with that client. And incidentally, I'd offer not to charge for it. Have a 2 or 3 hour meeting with your client. And if you've done this process right, you will definitely generate revenue out of that meeting. Otherwise, the client shouldn't be classified as an A-class client in your firm. So we've got some guidelines for you submitting that proposal. So you have the one-on-one meeting, but prior to that, you've sent them the SME Needs Analysis and asked them to go through and make some notes on it. So when you have the meeting, you should be getting the feedback from the client or talk to them about the issues. And obviously, your team should have already met and decided what you believe are going to be the key issues that this client could be interested in. So be ready for the conversation and then submit the proposal to them. This is what we've discussed. This is how we can do it. This is what it is going to cost you. And then ring them and ask for the order. And that is all summarized in that paper 570032. You need to give the client the proposal, clearly tell them what you're going to do, and then ask for the order. Or if they've got questions, go and talk to them and modify it. So step 11 is what we're calling it the implementation. And I've included in there a comment: if you are challenged on your skills for a CFO role. This has come about because a few accountants have contacted me. I might add, not before they've talked to a client. So I think in most cases it was a fear factor of what the client might say to them. And the fear factor that was put to me was, for the last 6 years, for this client, all we've ever done is the annual accounts, the tax return, and talk to their bank once a year with them. Are they going to accept that we're now able to offer a broader range of professional services? So I end up writing an article, and it's on the screen. I think you've got to be very positive about this and say to your client, yes, we have been your taxation experts, and we've done a very good job at that for you over the years, and this is what we've done. But we've been reading the surveys that various organisations like MYOB, CCH, University, Smith Inc. have been conducting in interviews with people like you. Indeed, you may have been contacted for one of those surveys. And the responses have indicated that over 85% of SMEs are telling those organisations conducting those surveys that they would like to receive a wider range of professional services. So we've looked at this. We have conducted a special training program for the last 3 months. We've invested in some new technology to supply us with services, and we are now ready to roll those services out to our clients. We have encouraged our accountants to get involved so that they can become champions of specific products, and we've also encouraged them to get more knowledge about our key clients' industries so that we know more about what goes on in your businesses, so that we can be more and more a key member of your advisory team. I think that's how you should approach that with the client. Sit down and talk to them about it. And if you think the client's got that in the back of their head and they don't actually tell you, well, perhaps you've got to lead in without saying you might think we're only experts in taxation, but just leading in the training, the preparation, the encouragement of your younger accountants to become product champions and industry champions. I think in most cases will convince your client, because after all, they already trust you to do their tax return work, that you have taken a bigger step in your organisation. We will also have a Business Plus newsletter, which we will be able to give you details of. It's produced every month except January. It's intended that you badge it and send it to your clients and prospects. It talks about commercial matters, not much tax. SMEs tell me they don't want tax articles getting sent to them. They think that's your business. So we try to concentrate on commercial matters that might be of interest to your clients. And we produce 2 other newsletters in May each year. One's on the federal budget as it affects SMEs, which we produce on the afternoon of the day after the federal budget's table, so on the Wednesday, which you can then send to your clients with your badge on it. And we also produce an end-of-year tax planning newsletter, which is produced around the 20th of May each year and sent to our subscribers. You can badge and send that out. So that's the Business Plus newsletter. It unashamedly is a marketing tool, marketing the services that you provide. Virtually every article finishes with words to the effect, if you would like to talk to us about implementing a plan to reduce your debtors' days outstanding, please contact us, or whatever the particular article has been about. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for showing interest in ESS BIZTOOLS. This has been a rather detailed overview of what is contained in the Business Advisory Services training package. We look forward to your firm becoming subscribers to ESS BIZTOOLS, and then we will be talking to you on a far more regular basis as we assist you to implement new services that your clients will see significant value in. Have a great day. Goodbye.